what's the month now? March. Thank you. March 11th. I've been locked away with a greasy computer for about 3 weeks now. So yeah, we had to move the meeting. I'm glad everybody got the memo and could make it tonight. We were going to meet on a week ago Monday on March 4th, and that turned out to be the day before the election. So they wouldn't let us have a room. So here we are. I'm trying to make a good example, and wear my name tag, because not everybody knows everybody here. We have name tags. If you're new, we can get you one. Let's see. I actually, yeah, if you'd pull the doors, that would be great. We got just 3 people online. Is that right? 4. Oh yeah, they're showing up.
Martha,
okay.
look.
Oh my God.
Martha, Sage,
Martha, welcome.
Brian,
Haven't seen you for a
PJ.
while. Martha. Oh, that's a photo.
Space bar, Martha, and say hello.
There she is. All right. And there's Sage. Good. Welcome, everybody. Well, let's see. The first thing we do every week is to ask if anybody's been diving in the lesson. I know I haven't because I'm locked in, but landlocked because of the HUF. But divers in February. No? That's the next thing I do. This is my wife who likes to help me, with everything.
I dove in December, Craig.
That doesn't
Does that
count. No.
Okay.
Got to come to the January meeting. I'm sorry.
Um,
No, go ahead
I'm
and tell
in
us.
Florida.
Go ahead and tell us, PJ, where'd you go diving?
I went to Key Cocker in Belize.
Oh.
And they no longer allow diving. Well, they allow it, but no one does diving in the Hold Shawn Marine Reserve anymore. So I paid a pretty penny for the privilege of diving in Hold Shawn, and it was a beautiful dive. And I saw spotted eagles, and I saw rough-tailed ray, and in fact, on that trip I saw 4 rough-tailed rays that were huge and beautiful. Bigger than we have at the Moody Gardens Aquarium. Our rough tail probably has a 3.5, 4-foot wingspan, and these guys were bigger than Piglet.
So everything was good. Was the coral okay? I mean, because I just passed around to a few people about. We'll get to this in a moment, but there was a blurb in the latest Undercurrent saying the coral wasting was really, really getting bad in places like Belize and Bonaire, and so bad that they'd lost revenue, and they had a report of one of the dive operations that wasn't maintaining its equipment. And so you didn't have any problems?
I had no problems at all. I did see a little bit of bleaching, but no, I didn't see any evidence of hard coral disease. Lots of critters. Everybody seemed healthy. So I only went outside the reef for 2 different dives. The rest of the diving was inside the reef, and that may have had a lot to do with the health of it. So
okay.
I was very happy. I was happy to get back in the water, and
Okay.
and that was good enough for me. The weather there was a lot of wind and a lot of outside the reef, so I just opted to stay inside the reef the rest of the trip.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that Brian dives every month at least, don't you?
I do pretty much 2 Sundays a month at Moody, and just got my full face mask control enclosed environment certification, and now I'm working on my certification for open water full face mask. I've got a Guardian full face mask. This is my new gadget of the month.
Too expensive to be a gadget. Okay, I've got.
Yeah.
It's got to be under. I'm going to say under $100, but really under 50. To be a real gadget. $10.
Well, I missed by a long shot, I promise.
I know, and that probably doesn't even have the radio, does it? Does this have the communication?
I did not buy the radio because nobody I dive with has a radio yet. But if I'm gonna let Kim try the mask, and if she likes it, I'll get her one, and then I'll get radios.
My wife
You're-
suggested this same thing and I vetoed that. I said, the last thing I want underwater is somebody, you know, talking
In
to
your
me
ear?
and
She,
telling me,
you get
you know,
communication, sign language, don't you?
yeah, we get along real well that way underwater. So, just my
Craig.
personal preference. Yes.
This is Sage. I'm actually in Palm Beach, Florida right now, and today I went diving on Blue Heron Bridge, and I saw two dwarf seahorses.
Two what?
Dwarf seahorses.
Dwarf seahorses. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was a very exciting day just today.
Very cool.
So how much bigger is a dwarf than a pygmy?
Probably at least 3 times bigger.
Cool.
Okay.
They have a really cute little short snout and a real big eye.
Lovely.
Okay.
What color were they?
The male is dark brown to blackish, and the female is green, bright green.
Wow. Nice.
Okay. That's great. We're moving on now. Let's see. We got any visitors? Any new folks?
Lynn.
Stand up,
And-
tell us who you are. Turn around 3 times. Just kidding.
So big announcement. Javon and Pee Wee just entered the room. Javon is mending from her surgery, and look at that smile. Gotta love it.
Okay,
Somebody mute
we're on to
PJ.
something else, PJ. Wait a minute. You, here.
Yeah, we're talking about new members here, and Hi-
us
hi-
about- tell
hi,
us why
Javon.
I met you. Why did I meet you?
So we met because Oceanic Ventures, that's their name. I entered a couple of photos and ended up winning the photo contest. And so Dennis came right to my table and said, join us. And I said, okay. So,
okay.
yeah, it's exciting.
Not the first time he's tried that on a young woman. I like
Uh-oh.
to tell you.
Not so young.
I think you should, be wary, when you go to these meetings where you don't know anybody.
Steve Cope. I came to a meeting maybe a year and a half ago, and then I went diving with Dennis late last year, and he invited me to come back, and so I'm here. Yes, came to the meeting.
That's funny. I meet people diving on boats all the time and I invite them to the meeting and they never seem to show up. I don't know why. Exactly. Okay, well, welcome. We hope you tell your friends and who dives and, become members. I mean, he already got the money out of you. We look forward to your $35, Thank you. Well, yeah, so we are not to that point in the meeting yet, so we just wait for it. I know that's the favorite thing for all the children. We have gadget of the month, so just wait for it. I need to look at my agenda here. Okay, well, a couple of things. You guys have heard me talking about this Photo Fest thing that we are entered in, and so your punishment for showing up tonight is that you can take one of these things home, because this is what we got for our $55 basically. And we were, it's like an arts thing in Houston. So they publish a little catalog of everybody that's paid the money, and we're kind of somewhere in the back. They really kind of screwed us on this deal because, they I don't know, they must have seen the name and looked us up on the website and said, oh, they're at Bayland Community Center. So they listed our location as Bayland Community Center. So I don't know if we're going to have people here showing up wanting to. Yeah.
Our pictures here.
Anyway, the idea was to get publicity for the HUF, and they did do that. They put it on their calendar, and we went down and took some of these flyers, and they're going to put them out. And we may get something a week from now, which is I don't know, some kind of portfolio review that we can participate in. They haven't gotten back to us on it, so we'll see. So take one of these home if you like. because it has a listing of all the galleries and, who participated in this thing. And if you're really into the arts or something, it would be pretty good. And if anybody reads it and can come up with, to explain to all of us, all the gobbledygook about critical geography, I'd really appreciate, your interpretation of it, because it's a real word salad of, everything you might read online. So I don't know. I didn't know that the spaces could be, I thought space was space, but apparently the spaces have characteristics according to these guys. So I don't know. The buildings around them do, but the spaces themselves, I'm having trouble with that. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. And you can see the HUPS is in there with a picture of our poster. All the way back on page 102. And they list us in the West Houston Galleria area, which is not all that bad. So pick one up before you go. Otherwise, they go with a paper drive. And I've got a yard sign. Where's my yard sign? Oh, if anybody wants a yard sign, like to irritate your neighbors or something, you're welcome to take it too.
You can use that for something else.
You can go stick it outside there, because this is the actual.
Put something else on it, use this as a stand.
Okay. All right. That was fun. We had a good meeting at the dive into the Gulf. We had a lot of people come by and talk to us, and it was a lot of fun. And we sold a bunch of pictures. They were really popular. Especially the $10 ones that, can just be like a little present or something. So we had people going through all of them, and I sold what? We sold one T-shirt.
Over $200.
Over $200, I think.
$235 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a fun
not
little
bad.
meeting. Hey,
Pays a few bills.
good thing to do in the middle of winter when it's nice to go down to Galveston. It's a really pretty day. Let's see. Betsy has something to show us on the Huff now, and it's time for her to give her update. Whatever. What does it say?
I don't say a whole lot. Because we have a fairly long program tonight. Not long, but long enough. And just want to encourage everybody to go ahead and get your Huff tickets, and encourage your friends and relatives and dive buddies to do the same thing, to go ahead and purchase those at Match. And so I've done just a 1-minute promo that we'll be using at different locations that I just wanted to show you guys. It was on Facebook this morning, but this is the one that alerts everybody that the tickets are now on sale.
This thing is making me mad because, I go through weeks and months sitting there with Fusion to get star trails and explosions and stuff like that. Did this in about an hour or something. Very artistic.
You guys,
Oh, sorry.
April 6th and 7th.
Okay, so that's it. So if anybody wants to use this, if you're going to be presenting to a dive club or whatever, I can give you a copy of it and you can put it on a drive and take it with you.
Yeah, in that vein, we're just directing everybody now to really simple website. We used to have a bunch of different QR codes for stuff, but we're kind of consolidating it all in one spot right now. So you can just tell people go to huff.hups.org, and that's a front page for the thing, and then it'll tell you about how to get to other stuff from there. Okay. Well, this is kind of a report. The Philippines trip for the group has been full for a little while, and we're getting our act together and finally getting our plane reservations made. And unfortunately, today we had Ron Chadwick, who was, had paid his money and everything, and he dropped out. And it's really too bad. These are non-refundable. So I said, well, don't worry, Ron, we're going to do our best to find you somebody to take your spot, and so you don't lose any money. And so we sent an email off to this guy that we were diving with on the Billy Kiki this summer, and boom, he came back in 30 minutes and said, well, how do I firm this up? So it went really, really fast. Yeah, it filled right back up. I bring this up and mention it because there's kind of talk that at least 2 of the other people are going to have to drop out due to health reasons. They haven't done it yet, but watch for an email blast to come out if they do, and we offer these other 2 spaces in case there's anybody or you might want to try to get in on it, to act promptly, because I was surprised this went so quickly. The first person I talked, it is really quite a nice trip and quite a good deal. It's 5 nights at Dumaguete, followed by 9 nights on the Atlantis Azores, which will cruise around all of the Visayas area there, Malapascua and Balakasag and all these places that are legendary. So we'll see if that happens, but be thinking about it if you know somebody that might be interested. You do have to be a HUPS member, but it's easy to do. Give Dennis $35 and
Craig, I have 2 questions.
No, I'm sorry, just 1 question per person.
Okay. Okay, so can
Go ahead.
someone join us for just the boat if they can't have that much time off?
Okay, here's my legal answer. No, they need to be a participating member of HUPS,
Yes, and that would be done with a
Oh,
$35
I'm sorry,
check.
I misunderstood your question. In theory, maybe, PJ, but not at the beginning, because now we're totally booked up, and if somebody had to give up their spot, then they're going to be wanting to get their whole $5 grand back instead of just the land portion of it, or just the boat portion of it. So I don't think that's going to work this late in the game.
Okay, no problem. The second question is, can a single diver take one of those spots?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I think I have somebody that would love to join us, and I'll be calling them this evening.
Okay, well, remember, it's not available yet.
He would be the first one on the wait list, though.
Oh, if somebody wants to go on the wait list, they can certainly do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that person would probably end up being me. What about you, Lynn?
Oh, well, you have to be in Manila on July 22nd. So you probably leave Houston about the 18th or the 19th, unless you want to spend some extra time. Depends on your flights when you have to leave. And then it comes back from Manila, leaves from Manila on August 5th. So you could get back by August 5 or 6, something like that. Well,
Can't do it?
Yeah.
Well,
Just
first
send,
ones. Well, first of all, we have to find those spots available.
well,
Yeah. Would it be just one, or would you and your husband? Oh,
just send
okay.
an email to Dennis
saw
about
somebody
it.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The 2 people that are likely dropping out are 2 girls who are sharing a room. So this would preferably be for a couple.
No,
to
but wait a minute, but no, we can accommodate a male and a female. Then.
Yeah.
Oh, because of you.
Yeah, then, well, it's a long story, but we can work with that easily, where, if you're a couple, you could get a room together. If it's a man and woman separately, then we can still do that, because we have some other things we can shift around. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, definitely give us your name on the waiting list if because we haven't started a wait list yet, but we talked about doing it. So
Yeah, we're just anticipating because the health issue's pretty serious.
the only thing to be aware of, it's, you know, pay your money up front and it's non-refundable because the club had to pay all the money up front, so we had to get it from everybody to start with. But it's a pretty good deal. We don't know, off of the 5,000, there'll be some kind of discount, we're pretty sure. We don't know exactly how much because we don't know what else might happen to cost us money, but probably in the hundreds of dollars is what I'm guessing. Less than 500, but.
Yeah, Lynn, talk to me after the meeting and I'll give you some more specific.
Yeah, we can send you, we can drown you with information. Don't worry about that. Very good. Wow, that was worth doing. Okay. Well, now it's time for officer reports. So Frank's not here. I hear rumors he's been spotted on a Princess Cruise line going around the South America.
No, it's in South America, like Philly or somewhere all the way to LA.
Yeah. Well, they went to Brazil and now they're cruising around, ended up in LA. Yeah. So anyway, that's a funny story. Debbie Menzie told me, I talked to her the other day on the boat, and she says, I was on the treadmill this morning and I was looking out at the sea and somebody walks by and it's like,
Oh, they're on the same boat?
yeah. She said, that looked like Frank. And it turned out it was Frank on the same boat. So yeah, so it must be the thing to do. Okay. There's another trip that's being cooked up, just real quickly, to Bonaire. And, you know, the Menzies had been leading a trip to Bonaire every year for a while, and they're not going to do it this year. And so then Trish Ross stepped up and said she would like to lead a trip to Bonaire. It has not been approved by the board, but she's trying to gather names and get details on the thing. And so if you're interested in that, I think that's in July as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Dennis? August? Is it? Okay. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the cost or anything like that, but she's getting that organized, and you can contact her. I suspect if she gets enough people, the board's going to approve it. I don't know why we wouldn't. So,
Greg, I have one thing y'all
Yes,
had
sir.
asked into, or somebody, I think Debbie asked look into the BVI, would I be willing to run a trip? And I said, maybe next year. And everybody wanted to know about the coral bleaching down in the BVI and USVIs because I knew it wasn't real good in the USVI. I did talk to Dive BVI. They said the coral bleaching is not bad. They would love to have us back in May of 2025 because that's not 2024.
mhm.
And I told them that I would let them know if people would get back with me and tell me if they're interested in going to BVI. I will set the trip up. I mean, the board's already do it. So
Good.
if you're interested, let me know. And then that way I can get my account. We can start getting it together and tell you what the cost is. Probably about the same as it's been in the past.
It would be Tortuga.
We stay on.
I'm sorry.
We stay on Virgin Gorda at a place called Guava Berry Estates. It's where I think we've run 4 trips down there. And they sometimes give us 2 boats. And because of our cameras, they say our cameras are so big, they give us 2 boats. And the diving's good. It's not great, but everybody will have a good time. I'll guarantee you that. So, I mean, several people here have been there. So
Great. We're going to get in trouble running all these trips one of these days, but yeah, we'll see. What else? Well, a couple of other announcements. If you look on the Facebook page, you can find more details, but one of them is, you know, we always struggle with how do we get people interested in video, because the processing of the thing can be hard to learn. And I ran across something that's just a spectacular thing for people that might want to learn video. There's a program that is our favorite, but it's a little bit high level. It's has a steep learning curve. It's called DaVinci Resolve. You can download it for free, and it's Hollywood state of the art, quality. So it's really good, but it takes some time to learn it. So how did the rest of us learn this stuff? Well, you go find a YouTube tutorial and you sit down and watch it and you go try it and you can't remember, you go back and watch it again and try it again, and then you get lost and get another tutorial. And after a couple of years, you've learned to do some things. Well, we got this tip for this guy that's really good with tutorials. His name is Casey Ferris. So I was going to look for his tutorials first to see what I can find. Well, I got on his mailing list and I found out he just made his entire introduction to DaVinci Resolve available for free on YouTube. And it comes with the data that he's processing on the thing, the video that he's processing that you can download and have it right there. And so you can watch the tutorial, go along with him, stop and start it, do it on your data, on your computer, and believe me, that is really a great way to learn it when you're looking at the same data that the professor's looking at. And this is free. And the reason he's giving it away, they've been selling it for quite some time for about $250. And I guess they got all the audience they were going to get from that. And now he's trying to sell his tutorials on Fusion, which is the part of DaVinci Resolve that, does all the fancy graphics and computer generated graphics and stuff like that. So that's where he's trying to get his money now. So he wants to get people on the intro thing. So then later on, he can bug you about, suck you into.
Hook them and reel them in.
There you go. So, I mean, look on the Facebook page, you'll see the more details about it, and you can go and download the thing for free and just get going. So there's no excuses anymore. Okay?
I looked at that
Yeah.
over the weekend.
Mhm.
I went to a half course. Great.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was looking
He's super. And especially when you're doing it by yourself and you can just stop it, because who I'm saying, oh, let me just, and the mouse goes and boom, it's done. And so then you can back up and go say, where did he put that mouse?
Yeah, I'm afraid of actually going in and doing it. I'll find out all the things that I'm doing wrong.
Well, it's like I said, it's like anything else. Now I know physicians don't do this, but I mean, us hacks out here, we go, well, I got something that works here, so I'm just going to stick with it. It's like if you go take tennis lessons, and the guy shows you how to do a really killer serve and all that, and you get kind of good at it, and then you get stuck in a match and it's, break point, and you're going to go back and do the old thing that you used to do, but you got to just, learn the tricks, right? So
Yeah.
I can get around there, but you're exactly right. There's so many things that you can do it faster and so I'm going to go watch it too. So
I will.
it's really good stuff. What else? Our workshop coordinator is here. And so David, tell us about.
So we're going to have a lighting workshop here at Bayland on June 1st. I think it's scheduled 12:30 to 3:30 because they like us out of the building by 4:00 because they close early on Saturdays. But it's going to cover lighting for both still photography and video shooting, everything from kind of exposure type stuff, the strobe or light positioning, doing some creative lighting, snoot lighting, different things like that. So Craig's going to help me with the video portion of it. I will teach the still portion, and it's going to be a great learning opportunity. So June 1st, put it on your calendars.
I hear a rumor that
Mr. Potato Head will probably make a showing, actually, maybe some new material even with Mr. Potato Head. In addition to that, we're working on a fish ID workshop with Kelly Drennan from NOAA. And that's also going to be on a Saturday. Right now, we're just trying to figure out some dates that will work probably maybe during the summer or so. So,
David,
yes.
are you guys going to be putting that lighting workshop on Zoom as well?
I'm guessing we can. We can probably record
That would be awesome.
All right. Yes, sir.
So video is going to be about the second half of it.
Yeah, well,
Okay, well,
that's funny. We just started talking about maybe doing a UV, but not probably in that workshop. We'll have enough material to cover already. But we're going to talk maybe to somebody in the room
possibly
about doing a program or a little workshop or a monthly program on UV. So we'll try to get that in the works.
somebody who won a contest with a photo shot with UV,
Awesome.
fluoro light. Yeah, about as far as I'll get on the video part is I'll probably show one of these fancy new lights they have that has blue and UV and red and green, plus, you know, the white lights. And, those are getting to be pretty common. You can get one of those. And I don't know what the green light is for, but, you know, that's what another workshop on that would be. Yeah. So very nice. We had a
David?
program on fluoro lighting before, though. I mean, I think Ann did it. Remember, Ann brought somebody in when she was selling the glasses and the filters and yeah. But I'd always been kind of underwhelmed by the results, and then I saw Scott's photo, and he really and the movie last year, The Night of the Tentacles, was all fluoro stuff. So it was,
It can be done well.
David, you need to get your classes sanctioned by the council.
Yeah, we'll do that. I plan to go around, if it makes, I plan to go around to all the different clubs and invite them personally. So we should be able to hopefully fill up the annex.
Oh, 1:30
Yeah,
to
it's gonna have to be 1:30 to 3:30 because it's a 3 hours and we have to be out of here by 4.
That's 2
3
hours.
hours.
2. I'm a mathematician. Trust me
sorry.
on this.
12:30 to 3:30.
12:30 to 3. That would be 3, but he's only got it for.
Is there a date for the fish ID?
No, we're working on that right now.
Thank you.
And you talk about fascinating. I can't wait to see who shows up for 3 hours to learn about fish ID. Okay. I mean, well, no, I'm going to be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there to count. You know but we'll see who the real nerds are. You know who's really committed. You know.
Well, I hear that Kelly's going to have a stump the chump portion of it.
Every time I've been stumped, it was a piece of plastic, you know, that I thought was a creature, you know. So got a bunch of pictures of those. So, okay. Let's see. What? Okay.
He's lost.
Technical malfunction here.
I bet I know who's on next.
Well, let's just go straight to the gadget then. That's probably the easiest thing to do. We actually got 2 gadgets. Do you want to go first or second, Alex?
Come on over here.
Come
Alex.
on. Show us your gadget. I saw this one and I went, oh yeah.
Here's your weapon of mass destruction here, Alex.
All right, so got hooked on by, got suckered in by on the websites for, Amazon sales. And so they saw this, they said they're having discounts and I was like, I'll try it out. Just, basically it's just an extension to, for just a regular outlet, but it gives you 5 regular outlets and then 3 USB-A's and a USB-C. It's got surge protection and everything, and it's just on the back. You just have the regular plug. You just plug it into the wall. And actually, once it's in the wall, I was saying it's actually a pretty low profile. But there's outlets over here. But it's actually pretty low profile. I ended up putting 2 in my house anyways, just to for wherever you have a lot of stuff, and it's easier than it's going to replace my the strip outlet instead of bringing that along. You can throw it in. $10.
Now, is the C a PD or is it? I mean, there's a long story about these things. You all probably grew up with it like I did. When they started USB, you couldn't screw up. It had a male end and a female end, right? And then they fell off the wagon and they got, the micro, the mini, and now we go into the C, and the C now has all these different specifications. It used to be the other ones were just like all 5 volt and 1 or 2 amp or something like that. But now the C, you can get these things that
Well, this one actually it's actually pretty high. It's a 5 volt, 4.8 amp. So it's actually pretty powerful, fast charger.
25 watts. Yeah. They got 60 watts and, stuff too, to charge your laptop. So you got to be careful with these things. I had a battery. The reason I'm saying is I had a battery and a friend needed a jump and he plugged his phone into it and it wouldn't charge because it was one of these really high powered, whatever device, the phone was going, no, you're not coming in here, so it was interesting. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Well, I could take that on a dive trip too, I think. Pretty, yeah.
But we're gonna give 220, 110. No, so it'll fry.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Lock is already like, goes to the lock before it goes to the computer, and that's already ready. If you charge the battery.
But there's like infinite, mixes of these things now that are out there. I got one that's looks like a little cube, actually, a black cube about this big. And you got that, and it's got like, one on each side, and it's got a couple of, No, this one's just in fact, you use this as a weapon if you wanted to. Yeah. Bring your adapter to work. Okay. Okay, and now we have another gadget of the week. I'll tell you what, this event has grown far beyond my expectations. Everybody's.
Well, if you're like me, you've tried every defogger that's available, commercial, and you find out real quickly that they work some of the time and don't work consistently. You still get some fog corners, or you get fog every other dive or every 10th dive. We found on a recent trip, a dive shop owner bought and it is reef safe, and it's even a biodegradable. It's called 200-foot Viz, and it's available from Amazon. And I'll tell you what, it is the absolute best defog I've ever tried, including all the home remedies and baby shampoo and all the others and spit. This is amazing. And it's one tiny drop on your fingertip, and you rub it on the inside of your mask, and it will keep your mask crystal clear. I mean, better than you've probably ever seen any defog work.
Hell, you take $3 for that thing? Give me,
What's that?
You sold me on it.
It's only $9.99 on Amazon, and it's an amazing product. They also sell hang on. They sell a mask scrub as well, and I've not even used the mask scrub, but for people who've buying a new mask and it may still have the silicone coating on it, I'd highly recommend it. I've heard great things about it. I've personally not had any problems once I just went to the 200-foot Viz. And I put this on and not reapplied it on every single dive on a liveaboard and never had fog, not even in the corners, not one area. It is the absolute best product I've ever found. So if you want, give it a try. It's pretty amazing. It's available on Amazon, as is the mask scrub. Okay. Yep.
We still don't want fog problems because I prefer to go ahead, but I went and there's 3 days.
I see our PhD chemist is skeptical and he wants to get a sample.
Well, actually, I used to be a soap chemist for a while, and we talked about it a little bit, and I can understand why it probably does work. I've been spending all of about 1 penny per dive trip on my Vel detergent, and it works, but it won't work if the mask floods once. I probably it's gone. But what happens is that they've got something that adheres to the glass and still keeps that hydrophobic behavior on it, and so it keeps everything, or hydrophilic, I think it is, because it has to, it has to attract the water to have a nice film of water over the surface to keep it from fogging up. Anyway. Probably would work.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, I think that brings us now to the program part of the night, and we're going to get to answer the question, who shaves the barber? Well, Dennis is usually introducing who's doing the program, and he's doing the program, so he can't introduce himself. So I was going to introduce him, but I thought, this guy doesn't need any introduction. Everybody, knows Dennis anyway. But in case you don't, I think the film itself is an introduction. So,
Hi, y'all. I
now sit down, just play the film.
thank all of you guys that have made it a second trip, and three people I see, and then back there on Zoom land, a couple more. So I inflicted it to the Lunar Fins people last month, and I did a little bit of minor modifications of it. This is sort of a personal journey of mine. It's not like anything I've ever done, and I've done a lot of different stuff. It's philosophical. It deals with who I am right now and how I came to be who I am, or at least who I think I am. And it's all part of a journey that I did on the Siren, and we have several people in the room that have been on that particular trip. And it was an eventful trip. It wasn't an easy trip, as you'll see in the film. And we met some very interesting people and had a nice, Steve Cope had a nice post-trip party over at his house and had a great time with it. Thank you for showing up, Steve. And of course, my Valley buddies over there, the Singletons, they're part of the program as well. So why do I do this? I've always been into art and science and music, and even I've also been a sort of a closet athlete as well. I've always tried to be good at anything that I tried. I don't think I've ever been excellent at anything, sort of a jack of all trades type of person, or a failed Leonardo da Vinci or Benjamin Franklin. I'd love to be in those categories. So how did I get here? Well, from the very early stage, I seemed to have people that were pushing me in a direction. And there are some seminal events in everybody's life that determine who they are when they grow up. And these usually happen early in life. Later on, you have some things that occur that change those directions, but you're kind of formed early in life. The things that you do and the things that you like to do all are formed there. For me, it's always been a bit like, I want to do something different. I don't like, well, I've done a lot of these. Like you've all seen the trip reports, you get on a plane, you get over there, you dive, and you come home. I can do those falling out of bed. It's just a formula, and they're good, but they're not challenging. So for me, the real challenge is to put something unique out there that I've never done before. And I think if you've seen my stuff, very few of them are cookie cutter stuff, and there are very few of them that are the same. The same thing occurs with many things that I do, even in my art. And you'll see some examples of my artwork in here as well. It's always been somewhat different. Abstract, not abstract, a lot of different things, and music as well. I wish I was as good at piano playing as Craig is, because he is kind of, yeah, I struggle with it, but I still try it. What I'm going to show you tonight is an exploration of the dive trip that we took on the Siren and the people that were there, and how I got on that trip in the first place. It's kind of a unique journey for me, and it's all laid out in the film. And so if you want to start it, I'll go turn off the lights. When I was young and in college, I took a course in English literature. Many of us did. During that time, we were introduced to the classics by Dickens and Chaucer and many others. But we were also exposed to some of the trendier novels of the time, like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World or George Orwell's 1984. All of those had an impact on who I was to become. Others, including Steinbeck's East of Eden and Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, were about young people who were going through mental turmoil, trying to find themselves and to grow, much like I was at the same time. At about this same time period, novels like Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five and William Golding's very disturbing Lord of the Flies, about young children who are abandoned on an island after their parents are gone and they are trying to form their own society. However, a book that may have had more impact on who I was to become was given to me by a friend who said, "Hey, maybe you should try reading this book." The book was The Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs, a Beat Generation author. I tried reading it. I don't know if I understood it very well, and it was probably incomprehensible at best, but it had a lasting impact on me. The plot line was almost indistinguishable, and its time sense was much like the limp clocks in Salvador Dali's famous painting, The Persistence of Memory. It really didn't matter where you started reading, it was all the same, literary chaos. The imagery was sometimes pornographic, psychotic at others, and always abstract. I tried to understand what I had just read, but I think I probably failed miserably. But of the books that I read back then, The Naked Lunch taught me more about myself and the path that I would be taking in the future.
When I started writing Naked Lunch, people offered their opinions. Disgusting, they said. Pornographic, un-American trash, unpublishable. Well, it came out in 1959, and it found an audience. Town meetings, book burnings, and an inquiry by the state Supreme Court. That book made quite a little impression. Now, 30 years later, Hollywood, in its infinite wisdom, has turned it into a movie. 30 feet tall, in living color. Cover your eyes, America. Run for your lives.
You're a marked man, Bill. You're just gonna have to leave town. Tourist class, I'm afraid.
Thought you were finished with doing weird stuff.
I thought I was too, but I guess I'm not.
Rules and laws that we live by may be necessary, but it's also nice to understand that bending them, or sometimes ignoring them, can not only be freeing, but it can be exhilarating. Choosing when and where and how to do it, however, is not an exact science. Things can go bad spectacularly. Being willing to experiment also means being willing to accept failure. I was always an experimentalist. Even as a young boy, I would take things apart and put them back differently. Professionally, I became a research scientist, and that's all about experimenting and doing things differently. But in other non-scientific areas such as art, sculpture, even music, I followed that drummer boy also. Thinking outside the box has given us electricity, the wheel, relativity, Sasquatch, and aliens mutilating cows, among other things. I'm deep into filmmaking at this late stage of life, and the sirens are calling me to take a different road, to try new things while I'm still able. If I end up on the rocks, it's a chance I take. So, just what does this mean about this film? I suppose it means that just about anything can happen. I drive around at night sometimes and ideas go through my head. I have trouble going to sleep, thinking about plot lines and narration and how I'm going to put this together, even when I'm in the shower. Anything and everything can happen. It's time to sit down, write it all out, put it together, and build a film. This film, Siren Song, has elements of Greek tragedy lurking around blind corners. I'm reminded a bit of Homer's Odyssey, where Ulysses and his crew spend years wandering around, trying to get home, going from one near disaster to the next. In his book, he encounters the sirens who tempt sailors to dash their boats on the rocks. He escapes disaster and eventually finds his way back home, where he kills his wife's suitors and lives happily ever after. A suitable Greek tragedy. Well, for some of them. In our film, we meet the Indo-Siren, a beautiful wooden Indonesian dive boat. We have a wonderful trip. We see amazing things above and below the water and come home with bulging memory cards and tired smiles. But tragedy struck soon afterwards when the boat caught fire and burned to the waterline. The crew fought long and hard to contain the fire, but it was too much. The captain ran it aground on a small island and everyone escaped. Lives were disrupted and those on the trip had to be evacuated back home. It's said that every cloud has a silver lining. Well, I'm not seeing it. I stay in touch with two of the dive guides, Stefan and Jack. They are still uncertain what will happen next. Along our path, much beauty and serenity was seen and experienced. But at other times, the clouds arrived, the full moon was in the sky, and the seas raged. It was over 2.5 years from beginning to end of our story. It all starts even earlier when Tom Collier returned from Florida after diving with the Goliath groupers and stayed on to do some blackwater diving.
I had also seen on Facebook some of the unbelievable photographs taken off South Florida coast on dives they call blackwater dives. So I thought I would investigate if those dives were offered in the West Palm Beach area. I was prepared for the grouper dives with the right camera gear and was just going to check out the night dives. As it turns out, the grouper dives were great and I would love to do some more, but the blackwater dives were the best. The excitement and intensity level was high and the anticipation of what you were going to see was even greater. Just as soon as I left Florida, I was thinking about doing this again. It turns out the Crystal Blue Dive Resort in Adelau was advertising blackwater dive packages that offered 2 dives each night, plus an afternoon dive for 7 days. this was going to be my next stop. And it didn't take much convincing to get Dennis and David to go with me to Antelope.
When Tom mentioned that he and Dennis were going to the Philippines to do a whole week of blackwater dives, I knew I had to go. We timed this trip just right, just between the volcano and the virus. I originally bought masks to have just in case of another volcanic eruption spewing ash, but I wore the mask on my flights because of the virus.
Over a year later, Oceanic Ventures held their annual photo contest. My photo of a blanket octopus taken in 600 feet of black water won, and I got an armload full of really fine prizes and a free trip on any of the Siren Fleet's boats. I chose the 2-week trip on the Indo-Siren and accompanied Eric and a bunch of old and new friends to Indonesia, where we started our long odyssey through the northern Spice Islands. But before boarding the boat, I joined Scott and Eileen Singleton in Bali for 2 days of exploring. Gusti, an old friend from the past, agreed to drive us around. Our first stop at Uluwatu Temple was memorable for monkeys and a sundown performance. After the Banana Patrol paid the necessary bribe, the little thief tossed my pilfered sunglasses down and I retrieved them. Too late, I'm afraid. If you don't think too much about where the beans have been, the coffee tastes pretty good. Every step down to the waterfall was a premonition of the 700 exhausting steps back up in the heat and humidity. The flight to board the boat at aptly named Sarong was uneventful. This part of the world has long held a fascination for me. The history surrounding the Spice Islands is filled with centuries of bloody conflict, greed, and intrigue. In medieval Europe, cloves, nutmeg, and mace literally worth their weight in gold. Over the centuries, the Chinese, Arabs, Portuguese, and Dutch controlled the spice trade in waves, subjugating the native population, forcing them to work on fiercely defended island plantations. We board the Siren, unpack, assemble our cameras, and get ready to dive. For the next 12 days, we sail west from Raja Ampat through the turbulent waters south of Halmahera, and finally run it aground at Lembe. Raja Ampat translates as Four Kings. This is where we dived the first few days. It is, as advertised, as good as it gets. Massive fields of healthy hard coral give way to endless tracts of soft coral waving in the current. At almost any time, it's possible to come across large schools of fish. Some close to the reef, others high in the water column.
Yes, I'm ready. Bye, Rick. God bless you.
Gotta hurry, you'll miss that plane.
Right, you are a sentimentalist.
Stay where you are. I don't know what you're talking about.
What you just did for Laszlo, and that fairy tale you invented to send Ilsa away with him. I know a little about women, my friend. She went, but she knew you were lying.
Anyway, thanks for helping me out.
I suppose you know this isn't going to be very pleasant for either of us, especially for you. I'll have to arrest you, of course.
As soon as the plane goes, Louis.
What was the meaning of that phone call? Victor Laszlo is on that plane.
Why do you stand here? Why don't you stop him?
Ask Monsieur Rick.
Get away from that phone.
I would advise you not to interfere.
I was willing to shoot Captain Reno, and I'm willing to shoot you. Hello. Put that phone down.
Get me the radio tower.
Put it down.
Strasser has been shot. Round up the usual suspects.
So here we are, surrounded by our usual suspects. Anemone fish, morays, scorpionfish, and a lot of other critters. then there are those special moments when the not so usual things show up. On our third and final day in Raja Ampat, we dove entirely on jetties jutting out into the sea from small island villages. Jetties are the lifeblood and source of almost everything necessary for the small island villages dotting the Raja Ampat seascape. 3 at Arborek, Sawanderek, and Yenbuba are the stars of this film. My first visit to Arborek in 2012 was a life-changing experience. Tall wooden pillars rising from the depths are almost mystical. Schools of fish find refuge as rays of sunlight filter down through the wooden docks. A group of happy children jumped off the dock to greet us with smiles and hand signs. A discarded tricycle was our last encounter before leaving. 11 years later, I made my second trip to the region. Light playing games in the water below the jetty was not only beautiful, but hypnotic. A stone's throw away from the Sawanderek jetty, a large healthy field of lettuce coral is swarming with schools of blue line snappers and yellow ribbon sweetlips. Stefan, the fish whisperer, attracts a following of chub and batfish, while a larger school of chub swim by us in the sunlight. More of what we saw at Arborek greet us at the jetty. Before arriving at the Yenbuba jetty, we come across man-made frameworks where coral is being cultured, providing shelter for fish. As we arrive, tall, slender wooden support poles rise upward from the seafloor to the platform above in an almost random pattern. Soft coral, sponges, fish, and many other species make their home here. And then sadly, it's time to leave.
We'll lead this ship and everyone on it into the twilight zone, 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 into the twilight zone.
As we descend into the darkness, we bring torches to find our way. There's a rule in nature's manual that states, all crabs must be butt ugly and have atrocious table manners. Exceptions to this rule can be found, however. Stefan, the fish whisperer, also speaks fluent sponge. They sense his presence and they respond. Stefan is always easy to find. Look for the swirling fish. He's in there somewhere. He's well-rounded and keeps us laughing. When he's not calling fish or playing with bubbles, he's hauling me around in the raging currents south of Halmahera. Fish don't just swim around looking pretty, they've got to earn a living.
Get in my belly!
It's that time now. I want to thank Eric and Ann Kibler and the Siren Fleet for making this remarkable trip possible. To my good friend, Tom Collier, for inadvertently being the catalyst. David Lenderman for finding the blanket octopus, and Mike Bartic and Crystal Blue Resort for making it possible. To Scott and Eileen for putting up with me in Bali as I lost and recovered my sunglasses twice. and all of my friends on the boat who braved the wild seas as we experienced these amazing sights. And thanks also to Jerry Fan for letting me use his drone shots. I'm a terrible drone pilot. So much love and appreciation to the crew of the MV and Siren, but especially Stefan Lega for showing me so much and keeping me safe. Julius Caesar reportedly said, Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I'd prefer to say, Veni, Vidi, Vixi. I came, I saw, I lived fully. Okay, so that's what I do on my day off. Thanks, David. Scott, Steve, everybody was on the boat. Had a good time. What do you think? Bring back a few memories? Yeah. So I mentioned that I was going to throw out the rules, and I kept some of them. Basically, I like to test new ground, plow new ground, maybe you think. I hope that you had an opportunity to get to know me a little bit better, who I am. I got to be who I am right now, or at least who I think I am. If we're lucky, our self-images are the same thing that other people perceive. Not always that way, though. So, yeah, it was a Greek tragedy. At least in my mind it was. Certainly for the people that were on the boat when it went down, burned up. I've been in touch with Stefan and Jack. They both now, they have jobs. I guess they always have jobs because they're skilled. But I'm sure that they would like to have been back on the Siren instead of wandering around in Flores and Alor like they were for a while without a job. Don't really know what more to say, just that it's about the creative process with me. It always has been. Putting something together like this, which is different, excites me. It keeps me awake at night, like I said. And I hope that it comes off, that other people are going to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed putting it together. So thank you very much for attending. Thanks, Dennis.
Great stuff in there. You said you're getting a new camera. I was just say, what for? Looks pretty good to me. I guess we've got our photo contest left. And oh, by the way, this people's image, I think we all agree. I mean, everybody sees me as a 6'1", 40-year-old ex-linebacker, I think, you know. But good to. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's a
the
dogfight. Look at this.
the novice category is pretty salty. I was looking at them and I'm thinking, well, I don't think we have a lot of novices in novice.
Judges have a hard time. That's a pretty good group of photos there. Yeah, extremely close. Yeah, yeah,
Without the bonus points, they stay there.
yeah.
Got a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, our contests do so much for us, but we're also a club, so I'd like to see some collaboration too, if we can find a way to do that. And this is my way of announcing that I made an application for a kind of a squirrely thing down at the Match Theater. They're having something they call Mix Match. And they did it last year, and they sent, I got an email about, hey, why don't you have a look at this? And what it is, it's it's a community outreach from Match, but they're actually going to give away, yeah, I said that, give away a a whole evening or day and evening for performances that would be put together by community groups. And they've got a couple of characteristics they want to see. One of them is collaboration, and the other one is sort of diversity. And they also, not just in the material itself, but diversity in art forms. So me being an optimist or foolish or whatever, I wrote up an application on your behalf, all of you. And so I don't know if we'll get it or not. If we do, though, then we're going to have to work on it, and we can talk more about it. But what I had in mind, we've got some opportunities as we move through the year here to think about collaboration. So, for example, those of us going on the Philippines trip in July, there'll be 16 of us on the boat, quite a few photographers. And so we could actually plan out ahead of time. Now, I know that's not in my, it's not in my domain to actually plan ahead. I jump in the water and see what I find and start taking pictures of it. But we could try to figure out some things that we might do collaboratively as photographers and videographers that would allow us to do things that we're not able to do by ourselves. And, you know, I've got a few ideas myself, but, you know, the idea if we win this thing would be to throw that open to the group to talk about, you know, how could we collaborate underwater? So Betsy will tell you I'm not very good at it, particularly with sign language, but that would be the point, is to learn how to do it, right? So anyway, we'll see. Deadline for applications would be March 31st. And then they have a really weird deal where they ask the people who put in applications to do a blind voting on which projects make it. So that's a kind of an interesting aspect of it. But if we do win it, you know, we've got a lot of opportunities. We know people that are artists in other fields, like Genevieve, for example. We might find some way of integrating her, you know, very creative artwork into what we're trying to do. So we've got a whole year. The performance would actually be in next January if we actually got the project. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that to everyone that's here and everyone that's online tonight. I just, you know, sort of bashed the application and sent it off a couple of days ago. And we'll see what happens with it. But have a think about it. You know, it may start keeping you up at night like Dennis, and I hope it does, and getting wild ideas, because, you know, one of the things I thought is we've all got these really, really honking fancy cameras now. I don't know about you guys, but I use about 10% of the capabilities on my camera. And so one thing we might do is think about, is there something new that's come along in AI and photography and new hardware, all of these sorts of things that we might think about employing underwater if we had other people to do other things that we can't just do by ourselves. So, I mean, some people collaborate, right? People take pictures of models with, you know, holding a flashlight and stuff like that. So we know it's possible at some level. So we got a lot of smart people in the room, and I think if we think about it a little bit, we'll come up with some things. Let's throw it open now to any comments. Dennis is waiting here, but also
I have
we got
one
people
definitely, because I
online as
want to introduce Stefan Walborski. If you'll come online, Stefan. He is in Guam, and he is going to be giving a presentation later on this year. I think there's going to be a lot of super macro on it. And anyway, Stefan, are you there? He's on mute. Hit the space bar, Stefan. Or don't. But anyway, he's a very talented photographer, and I think he's going to be able to give us quite a bit of knowledge about how to work with super macro, as well as some other things that he's suggested talking about. But that'll be later on this year. So
any questions from online? We kind of ignored them during the Dennis's
I
presentation.
wanted to thank my wife, Martha. Hello, Martha. Hello, Martha. Hello. Well, maybe she's not watching. She's still on.
Well, it's not time to shut it down then. I guess it's a quarter till. So, oh yeah, those of us who want a margarita or are hungry or just want to come and chew the fat, we're going to, not that their food is fatty, okay? But yeah, it is, okay. La Tapatia, which is at, I think, 5901 Bel Air, if that's correct. So join us there. Right as soon as we get packed up, we're heading over there and ordering margaritas. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, what?